Hey everybody, Chelsea Cross here, hashtag Millennial Talk, Twitter chat, Blab collab going down right now. I have such an awesome guest. I feel like we've been in the same community for a while now, Danny.
Right.
Officially having you as our expert for the evening here on Millennial Talk. Danny Rubin is a communications expert and author of the new book, Wait, how do I write this email? Which I kind of say to myself almost every day. He's also has a collection of 100 plus templates for networking, the job search, and LinkedIn. He's basically going to be your favorite person after this evening. I have my own copy.
Hey, I like that.
Hey, and I absolutely loved it, Danny. This is a smart read, everybody. Someone who is interested in their career, entrepreneurship, how to maximize time in their day, optimize their procedures to get shit done. This is a great read.
Thank you so much.
Danny, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Can anybody hear my son screaming in the background? Trying to put him down, and 9 months old, and hey, it's how it goes. My wife is working hard back there trying to put him to sleep.
You got to multitask. I don't hear anything, but you know what? Hey, we welcome all ages in the Millennial Talk. So,
yeah. He wakes up and join us.
All right, everybody. As you know, if you're new to our Twitter chat Blabs, we send out all the questions via Twitter in addition to talking them out here on Blab. I will also send the questions in the Blab feed as well. So you could tweet, you could Blab IM. Let's get groovy. I'm about to send out Q1, Danny. So prep your answers. Going out on Twitter. Of course, if you are engaging with us on Twitter, use the hashtag Millennial Talk. That will help you streamline the conversation and keep up with all the great content throughout tonight's hour-long chat. Might go a few minutes over the hour, being that we had a few techie glitches earlier. But thanks for holding out, everybody. So Q1, officially out there. What is the most important part of a networking email? We're starting with like a loaded question already. And every question tonight is really loaded. So feel free to chime in the conversation. Danny, first of all, take us, let's step back for a second, and what prompted you to write this book in particular? It's like everybody has to deal with emails all day. It's like, who would have thought that this wouldn't have been, such a great tool, and what a great idea. So what inspired you?
Well, what inspired me is I've been writing content for my blog. My blog is News to Live By. And I've been writing stuff for over 3 years, and looking at my analytics, looking at my traffic, the stuff that had the most resonance and the most action was my writing guides, step-by-step writing guides for LinkedIn and for networking and for looking for jobs. And so I decided that this was a need in the market. People are looking for this information. They're finding me through Google. I should take the content and put it all into a comprehensive book and make it easy for people to reference and use in real time as they're trying to grow into careers.
Love it. I mean, that's the definition of finding a need and then creating the solution, and that you just nailed it on the head.
Exactly.
Yeah, so the Twitter feed is starting to go. So definitely feel free to join us on Twitter again using hashtag.
I have a second answer. Hold on, I have a second answer to that question.
Keep going.
I gotta keep up with myself.
We're gonna get the lay of the land.
Right. Now I got both of my answers for question 1 out there.
All right, you tell me when your answers are ready, so then we'll.
Now I'm good. I'm back on track. I gotta really keep my head on a swivel here.
I know, right? It's getting in our Millennial Talk groove. I'm not ignoring you when I'm looking away. I have another computer over here, everybody. All right. So right out of the gate, big question, the Q, take us through the answer for Q1.
Okay. The most important part of the networking email, and this part is left out so many times, whether it's networking or looking for freelance work, we forget to research the other person and show that we're curious and value what the other person does. We so often come around and talk about ourselves and ask what the person can do for us. But if we show that we've researched the person, reference projects they've done, show how much we appreciate the work they're putting in, that's how you build trust and authenticity. And I show people time and again in all these email scenarios how to show you've researched the person to help build that trust.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And you know what, and even that answer clarifies so many things, think about all the influencers out there who have large followings who are getting inundated with asks in the social space. And, I definitely relate to them because it happens to me as well. And you get the open-ended email, right? Like, okay, this is a lot of great content. Thanks for sharing. But what would you like me to do for you? What are you looking to do from me? It's like that blatant, that open-ended email. I just feel like it kind of gets you nowhere. And that back and forth could be the reason why you end up going like, this isn't worth my time. And you could have lost out on creating a solution if you just defined it.
Well, I also show people in all different scenarios how what you're looking to do with the person. Put your point at the very top of the email. Right after your introduction, you say, I'm writing you because of reason blank. So that right away the person understands, I'm writing to ask if we can have coffee. I'm writing to tell you more about my services as a freelancer. Put your point at the top and everything else flows from that. It's good email structure and it helps you become a better communicator.
I think that's so spot on. And you're right. It's not even just for emailing. It's in general. And when you want to have a conversation with someone, you want to get a message across, like how you create the delivery. It really is the catalyst for the rest of how the conversation flows.
Right. It's about stating what you want very clearly, but always remembering to show interest in the other person. I can't tell you how refreshing it is in networking, either in conversations, at happy hours, or over email, when the person is more interested in learning about me than they are to talk about themselves. Yeah. It's so rare, and I think millennials, us, often are criticized for that we're so quick to want to talk about ourselves. And it's such a game changer when we focus on other people, especially older adults are surprised by it and respect us more.
Yes, absolutely. Could not agree more. So we're going to start moving along to Q2 just because we got a little bit of a late start. So definitely start prepping your answers, Danny. We have so much content to get through in not a long period of time. Okay, so I'm about to send out Q2 on Twitter. Everybody go and check it out.
And I have answered question 2 on Twitter.
Okay, perfect. So Q2, what's the secret to an effective subject line? Like, think about it. A subject line in an email is basically, like a tweet. You got like a little, a minimum amount of characters, but you have to like grab the attention of the person. So excited to hear your answer for Q2.
An effective subject line uses specific people or places to help your email stand out. For instance, if you met somebody at a happy hour, and you want to follow up on that conversation, the email you send them should say, great to meet you at the blank happy hour, the name of that happy hour. Being specific, and I'm going to say this a lot tonight, being specific, using details and words related to the conversation or the situation helps the person lock onto your email faster and open it faster. Also, if you want someone to help connect you to somebody else, you have a mutual friend, put that mutual friend's name in the subject line. It helps the person trust you faster because you know someone that they know. Yeah. So using names and using places in subject lines helps us to get emails opened and answered faster.
Relatability, common ground. I couldn't agree more as well. So we have some first timers here, Danny, which is, I always love seeing new people hanging out with us for Millennial Talk. We have so much great traction going on Twitter as well. And it's everyone's so on trend with saying, just be direct. What is it that you're looking for? What is it that you're asking for? And that direction can only help lead you to hopefully a symbiotic solution. Between the networking, networkies.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, that's true. To be very clear with what you're asking for, of course, but on top of that, if there's a chance to add that extra piece of detail, that's going to separate you further.
Absolutely. And it's like, we all say don't judge a book by its cover. When are we going to start saying don't judge an email by its subject line? But we totally do. Right?
Well, we should judge an email by its subject line, quite frankly, because we're all busy and we have to be one better than the next person. Mm-hmm. And how we do that is by thinking through very carefully, okay, where did I meet this person? Or how can I be very specific in the subject line? Mm-hmm. Frankly, we know sending out e-newsletters, if you're doing that for your company or for your blog, your subject line is everything. If the subject line is terrible, it's not going to get open, and everything you wrote inside of it's not going to get seen.
Totally. Totally, totally. I also think there's, that sweet spot in the subject line of leaving a um, being a little aggressive in the subject line, so people are a little bit more like eager to move on it. Like I kind of prioritize my inbox in the morning, right? Okay, I got this many emails. Here are the subject lines, just from like doing a scan in the morning of what I think needs to get my attention first. I feel like creating a sense of urgency in a relatability way also could light a fire in a subject.
I like that. I like adding a sense of urgency, getting to the point quickly, making people feel like this is an important message to read.
Yeah. False alarms, but if it is a timely matter, especially like a press endeavor, or you want to get in on a certain campaign, yes, or you want to beat a deadline, or you want to be forward thinking, I just feel like creating that urgency makes you seem like you mean business as well.
Well, definitely when you're on deadline, or you're trying to reach a journalist. But for me, for networking, I always try to be very casual. Certainly, I want to get things done, but I don't want to make the other person feel rushed or that I'm being too aggressive with networking, because people have to get back to you on their own time. They're going to meet with you when they have the time. I'm asking for the favor. So I actually have a chart in the book of like how quickly to follow up with somebody if they didn't answer your first email. And I think I say this in one of the questions later on in the night, is 2 to 3 days before you follow back up with that person to say, hey, did you get my first email? Don't be too over eager, because that can be a turnoff.
Totally. I totally jumped to more of the like wrapping up a deal email. We're talking. Now you could see where my mindset is at the moment, everybody.
You're all about getting stuff done. I mean, I don't, you're tweeting right now as you're talking to me. I don't know how you do this. How are you doing this?
I think if anybody could really see what's going on my screens right now, the method to my madness would make sense. It's madness that I somehow have created here. That is.
We all see you on Twitter. I don't know how you're doing as much as you're doing. You are one of a kind.
Oh, thank you, Danny. Well, right back at you. So let's get into Q3, because I can see that I'm already like jumping into your next answers.
Sure.
So start sending out those answers. Let me get the Qs also sent in Blab, like I said that I would do for everybody. Here we go.
And I see Daniel wrote a question, and I just cannot gather myself to answer him as I'm doing all these. Sorry, Daniel. At the end of this, I'll give you an answer. I promise.
Yes. There's so much going on here, guys. So if Danny does miss one of your questions, I'm sure he wouldn't mind you pinging him a tweet later so he can have any follow-ups. There is so much content and great conversation happening at one time. So here's sending out Q3 in the Blab feed right now. Chime in on that, everybody. Danny, you let me know when you're ready to take it away.
Should I put my answer there too, in the comment?
You don't have to put it in the comments, being that you're physically, digitally.
Oh, right. Okay.
All right. So Q3, how do you write a memorable thank you note? And I don't know how you make a memorable thank you note. I've always thought it's really coming from a place of authenticity. Not to sound cheesy.
Well, yes, it is definitely coming from a place of authenticity. But here's the secret to a great thank you note. You need to reference a specific example of how the person helped you. So it's more than just saying thank you so much. Like if you were an intern at a company and somebody went out of their way to be really nice to you that first week, and you were really nervous and like totally scattered, and they helped you. You have to go beyond just saying thank you so much for helping me. You really did a lot for me. You have to say, that time in that meeting when I had to answer the question, I didn't know what to say, and you jumped in and helped me in front of the whole company, that meant a lot to me. When you reference a specific example to somebody, that goes even further. You might think, oh, sending the thank you note is enough. I mean, that was really nice of me. But if you go that one notch even further, you solidify that relationship, and they'll never forget you.
Totally. And when you can create that specific concrete example, it makes I think the person realize how much you're actually being aware and present in that moment to remember the details. I think we're all very I know I'm totally guilty of this all the time, is we're thinking about everything else we have to do for the day, so at that time in the day, we're really thinking 2 hours ahead. But we should be present, especially within networking, because the details could be that link or sync to actually make it work.
We're all so busy with our own lives, and it means so much when we can step back, like pull our head out of the water and like give somebody else our attention and our total focus, and show them that what they did for us meant a great deal, because we're all running around like mad, and that is how you prove yourself to somebody. And I guarantee if you're an intern and write that kind of note, that person's going to be a friend for a long, long time, and they're going to look out for you and help you no matter where you go in your career. Because I like to say that networking is actually about making friends. It's not super hardcore business. It's making friends in a business environment.
Yes, absolutely. I always give my business partner, Greg Goldner, my partner in the Impulse, the compliment of, he is such an incredible networker, and he does it on such a personal level without it being personal. And his way of finding common ground is through sports. Somehow he starts talking about where he's from, where he went to school, what teams he played for or supports, and there's somehow always like a common thread or understanding. And how do you feel about finding, like, kind of picking your point of conversation, whether it's sports or actually something more specific to your field, where you try to find that common thread in your networking approach?
Totally. Absolutely. Looking for that common thread, finding something that you both share. But here's the kicker. That next day when you're writing that email, reference that. I have it in the book. I reference that conversation as the kickoff to that email and say, it was great to meet you at the blank happy hour. Say it specifically. I really enjoyed talking to you about the Los Angeles Lakers, and something like, yeah, they're having a tough season, I know, but we'll get them back on track. Something small talk like that.
Yes.
Referencing that conversation shows that you listened, shows that you paid attention, shows that you cared, and you're not just ready to dive in and ask for something. You're trying to make a friend.
Absolutely. Nailed it, Danny Rubin. Totally on point. All right. Retweeting all of this great insight that everybody else is also sharing to Q3. Tips chats are way better if you spell the hashtag correctly. I know. Millennial talk is a hard
start there.
It really is. All right. So let's start getting into Q4. I'm going to prep Q4.
Sure.
Talking about networking events. Q4. Going to send it out in the Blab sphere as well.
All right, I'm going to answer.
Go for it.
And there we go.
Okay.
I have 2 answers here. I don't want to forget. I'll get it ready. All right.
Tracy says what? Says Danny is full of wonderful advice. Tracy, I could not agree more.
Many thanks, Tracy.
All right, so Q4. What's the best way to follow up with someone after a networking event?
Well, I just started to touch on that. The first is to reference the conversation.
Yep.
Then, again, like I talked about, the importance of researching. There's 2 other pieces to that follow-up. One is to show that you did further research. Let's say you met somebody at a happy hour, never met them before, never heard of their company. But you think there may be ways to work together. They could offer you a job. Who knows what? You go back to your computer and you look them up. You read up on their projects. You understand what they're all about. Read their LinkedIn profile. Understand the person. And then in your email, which I put in the book very clearly, you reference, you say, I did more research on such and such company. And then you give a specific example of a project that you really respect and why you respect it. Okay, that's important. Again, it shows you're validating them. And then whatever you're trying to do, whether it's networking, apply for a job, providing concrete details of your own experience, linking people to things that you've done, showing a portfolio, an article you've done, someplace you were featured or quoted, a project you finished, something tangible. You have to link people to things so they can understand what you've really accomplished.
Yep, totally agree. So you know what? I totally agree. And it's really about, making them feel like it was a personal connection, not just a superficial business transactional relationship. And I think that it's in a lot of networking experiences, whether it's a little more corporate structured or a mixer in your community or something through a church or a temple. There's so many different networking events that have different vibes and tones. But it can also be intimidating if you're not comfortable of walking up to somebody or a little bit being assertive and having, what is that elevator pitch and have I defined it for myself? So for the people who are a little more concerned about the way in which they come off, speaking to people or getting over their nerves,
Yep.
Some insight there. Because I think if nerves and if nerves are getting the best of you in a networking situation, like we need to nip that in the bud, because that can't be the root of the problem going forward. Because there's so many wonderful, beautiful ways to network today, in person, offline, and online. So let's get over the nerve factor.
So what I say to people, the best strategy when you're networking, and it keeps coming back to being self-aware and being very selfless, is when you approach people, you just try to ask them questions. You're not interested in talking about yourself. You are there to interview other people. And I have a blog post, and it's in the book too, called the 6 most powerful words in networking: who, what, when, where, why, and how. So if all you want to do in the networking situation is just keep asking questions, follow up on what they said with another question, spend time learning about them, it takes the pressure off of you having to talk about yourself, which can make people nervous. And it also shows that you respect them. It'll help to build trust. And by the end of the night, they're going to say, hey, that was a really great guy that I was talking to, and all you did was ask questions. So if you can think about a networking event as a chance to ask questions of people, it can take the pressure off of you and make you look more impressive.
Totally. I also think people don't realize that asking questions are really your biggest secret weapon, because the more you know, the more you can subconsciously, internally know how to pivot your conversation, your pitch, so that you strategically are aligning yourself best to make that connection connect.
When you're asking questions, you're in total control. You're in total control of that conversation. You're deciding where it goes. And to your point, the deeper you go and the deeper the questions become on someone's career or their projects, the more you find ways you could possibly work together.
Yes.
Because if we just have these superficial networking conversations where it's like, oh, what do you do? Cool. Let me tell you what I do.
Right.
You never really get anywhere, and you don't learn anything about the person. Your goal is to learn as much as possible. And by the question number 8 or 9, they might say something that triggers something in you. And before you know it, you have a whole different conversation about some way you could partner. And if you didn't get to question 8, you never would have found it.
One of our tweeters, David Berezin, said, for answering Q4, ask how they would prefer to be contacted when you first meet them. How do you feel about asking someone how they would prefer to be contacted?
I think that's polite. I mean, my approach would be to send an email anyway. I'm probably not going to call the person the next day.
Yeah.
Email seems like the most appropriate, non-aggressive. Calling somebody out of the blue, especially if you want something, could be really off-putting. So
yeah,
I don't think it hurts to ask, but I don't think you can go wrong with an email either.
I agree. I also have another tweet that I want to bring up, and I think it's a really interesting question and worth taking a minute for. So it's a direct question to you, Danny. Someone who has never been to a networking event, how would you briefly state what their primary goal should be? Should there be a goal walking into a networking event? Should it be defined per event? What's your take on that question?
Your goal should be to ask questions when you have a chance to ask them and make friends. I don't want to make it any bigger or more nerve-wracking than that. You shouldn't go in trying to find the most influential person in the room. You're probably not going to find them, because it's like a needle in a haystack. And anybody could become useful or helpful in your career. You just have to talk to them long enough. Your goal should be, I want to walk up to somebody and I want to start asking about what they do and what they're really interested in. And that's my goal. And if that person walks away or it changes, I go do it again. And I think by your first question being, hey, what's your name? What do you do? If that's your lead in, it can open up all kinds of avenues as long as you're the one remembering to ask the questions.
Totally. Hopefully that tweeter was on our blab so that she could hear your answer. I just realized that she's only on Twitter. I'll
call her later.
All right. Hopefully she's listening to this right now. All right. Well, I'm about to send out Q5 because we're already 30 minutes into our chat. So get your answers for Q5 ready, Danny.
All right. Oh, there it is. The guest post. Right.
Yes. Send it out in the blab too.
Oh, boy. I have quite a bit of experience on this one.
Okay. You let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Send it out in the blab feed. Okay, here we go.
Yep.
All right. So Q5 is what makes a strong pitch if you want to submit a guest post. And I love this question. Let's get into it.
Okay, if you want to submit a guest post, again, it comes down to thinking about the other person. I've been offered guest posts to my blog. I'm sure you get it all the time. Mm-hmm. And what matters most, what means the most to you, I'm sure, is when someone says, Chelsea, I love your blog. But beyond that, because they can say that without ever looking at it.
Totally.
When they reference a blog post that they really liked, link to it and tell you why they liked it so much. That goes so far. And it only takes about 30 seconds to do. I'm not advocating we write a whole book to somebody about why they enjoy what they do, but by showing that you appreciate the content that they produce, that helps you get in the door and make them want to write you back. The other side of it is giving them concrete examples of what you've already written so they don't have to ask for samples. Show them that you like what they do and then show them what you've done in the same email, because the person needs to see both if they're going to trust you.
So on point. I think, and it's not to sound anything, but I prioritize every minute of my day, right? Yes. So when someone just kind of sends you that generic email, or they kind of, send you compliments, but they're so generic, and from what they've asked or what they've said, you're not doing it anymore, or that's not what your brand is about, or, it's like such a kind of slap in the face as to you just, really didn't even take the time to open up my blog or open up my website and see it is what I do before you start asking me of something. Or, of something, it's like, really, if we want networking to be effective, we have to take the time to learn about that person, whether we've connected with them already or not.
You have to give before you get in every situation in your life.
Yes.
And one of those situations is asking about guest posting, because you cannot come around offering your stuff if you don't show that you really respect the blog that it's on. Otherwise, I think you're just sending that pitch to 100 places. You don't care where it lands. You have to show you genuinely care about the Chelsea Cross blog. You love it, you value it, and you want to be part of it. And the way you do that is by showing that you really like one or two particular posts and linking them back to you, so that you know that they read it.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, I kind of like this point made by someone who's tweeting us and possibly could be in the blab at the smooth factor. She said, tag them with a picture that's personalized or customized for the event or the hashtag or whatever you're trying to get in on. So like go the extra mile and kind of create that piece of content customized to what you're looking to do. And I think that's a great approach, especially when you're really trying to get your foot in the door.
I like that too. Yeah.
And get the attention of whoever it is that you're trying to get the attention of. I know that when I first started doing this, which it was a very, when I first started at 16, there was no such thing as an influencer. There was no such thing as a millennial. There was no such thing as a YouTuber. Blogging was like kind of like, what is a blog type of thing. And the way that I got my foot in the door was by creating content for every affiliate you can imagine. And then finally it started clicking, but it was constantly creating and tailoring tailoring the creation to that end of that publication, and really trying to see what kind of content they have, and then give you something from a different angle, from a different perspective. Make that person go, ooh, that is a well thought out approach or angle. And I really think going that extra mile to take the time to get creative, impressing people makes the connection really happen that much faster. Showing them your value.
Yeah. The other thing is come at the website with your best stuff. If you wrote something and you put it on Facebook and it got a lot of traction among your friends, that's what you want to show to a larger website. Come with your best stuff. And also, I have this line at the end of the email that I recommend people use. Yeah, you've offered up your own stuff, but also say, I'm happy to write something else if you have a particular topic in mind. Yeah. Leave yourself open both directions, because they might say, you know what, we just wrote about that topic, but we'd love for you to cover blank.
Yep.
So give yourself options, because what you really want to do, again, is build that relationship with that particular editor or content creator or whoever's running that website. You want to be friends with that person.
Totally.
Have that person rely on you for stuff. And if you can create something from scratch that they asked you to do and you came through and delivered on it, then they're going to come back to you the next time and say, what else you got?
Totally. I just realized that I haven't been retweeting your answers, Danny, and I'm so sorry. So I'm kind of doing a little spurt right now. Like, so we're our halftime catch up, where I'm
slacking off.
I'm totally just rapid fire retweeting some of Danny's answers for those who just want a little recap. This kind of can be a little halftime show of sending out answers again. So sorry about that, Danny, but
no problem. We'll bring out Coldplay for halftime.
Yeah, right. If only we had Coldplay and Beyonce in our Blab right now. We do have a caller who's calling. Dan, you want to take a question?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we got Liz Vo, who's a very frequent contributor to Millennial Talk, calling in. Let's see if we can get her in glitch free. Come on.
Oh my
God. Hey. Hi, Lynn.
Hello.
Welcome to the Blab, Liz.
Thank you. So I had the question back when we were talking about networking events and just good ways to start conversations with people. And I always have trouble leaving the conversation without making it awkward. So my question is, how do you end a networking conversation?
I love this question.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say there's one particular way. Like, if you're trying to get out of the conversation because the person's like annoying or you feel like it's going nowhere, you can always do the I gotta use the restroom move. If you're really just trying to like get out of it. Oftentimes what'll happen is someone else will join the conversation. There'll be like 3 or 4 of you, and then they'll start talking. You can kind of like make your way to someone else or start to turn your focus to someone else in that circle. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking for like appropriate ways to leave a situation. It's obviously difficult to do it like smoothly. You don't want to make anybody upset or feel offended, but at certain points, the discussion's gone on long enough. Like, you have the right to switch it up and to talk to somebody else. You can always use the restroom line. They're never going to fault you for it. Maybe you got to go anyway. Or, what often happens, what I'll see at networking events a lot is like, you'll start talking to somebody. You two are in an exchange. Someone else will kind of wander over and kind of stand around and hover until they get involved in. And you kind of make your own little circle. And once a circle's made, you can kind of decide how long I stay in and how long I cut out.
All right.
So I hope that helped you. There's no real silver bullet on this one. I mean, you can't be like, I'm done now, bye.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I asked, because every time it's so different. And at a networking event, you can't always use the bathroom excuse, because then you're going to turn around and you're going to talk to that person. So
yeah.
Totally. I mean, one of the things that I've used, Liz, and from a previous experience is when I really just think that you don't want to ever be disrespectful, and you really never know how this person could or if be of, help to you or you of them in the future. I kind of just go, here's my business card. It was so nice meeting you, and my contact information is on there. Happy, reach out to me anytime. And you like kind of put the ball in their court, because it's like that, to me, that's a bookend in the conversation. Here's my contact. You have it. I'm going this way.
Well, hey, Chelsea's more to the point than I would be, but I think that works too. You know, if you have to decide, like, do I want to talk to this person for 45 minutes or do I want to, like, you know, move around the room? I see that.
Yeah, like just like move, you know, let's like keep the train moving. Because I also think some people do an injustice to themselves, and I'm sure you would agree, Danny, of spending too much time with just one person. You know, it shouldn't be, you know, micro conversations that are rapid fire, but, you know, if you're at a networking event, work the room. Don't just work one person, you know.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think all of us struggle with how to, you know, politely step away, and it does take some tact and some nuance in every situation.
Totally. Thanks so much for calling in, Liz.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Participating all the time.
Got you.
All
right,
and bye, Liz. We'd love to have any more callers. If you want to call in, call us. Line is open. I'm about to send out Q6, Danny. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh. Yep, and just sent. Sending.
All right, and I answered it.
Okay. All right. Why isn't it showing up on mine?
It showed up in the tweet chat.
Got it. Here we go. Sending it out in Blab as well. Here we go. All right. So Q6 is, what's the best strategy to have someone make an introduction on your behalf? That's another great question.
The best way, again, it comes down to the details. When you send an email that you want someone else to then use to make their own email, which they're going to probably do, put it in their own words and write their own intro for you, you have to give very concrete details about yourself. The best way is to do 3 or 4 bullet points that highlight your successes, leaning on links you have that you can show people. Like right now, if I have someone who can connect me to someone else about my book, right? They can make an entry point for me. I give them the link to my book. I show them a link to the table of contents. I give them a link to my website that shows some of the places where the book is in use, like certain colleges that are using it. So I give the person everything they need right away to size me up. Because what you don't want to do is make the person have to come back and ask you for things. You want to be one step ahead and give them everything they would naturally ask you for. They'd say, where's the link to your book? Or can I see a table of contents? Or, well, who's using it? Is it any good? So I'm trying to be there and answer their questions before they even ask them.
Love it.
And you know, it's not about giving people a lot of information. It's about giving them enough and the right stuff and leaning hard on links and proof. I'm so big on that over on my blog and the book all the time. Show people the proof. Tell them what you did. Don't tell them that you're good at it. Tell them what you did. Then you prove you're good at it.
Right. Show them, don't tell them.
Show them, don't tell them in every situation.
Totally agree. Now, do you feel like there's introductions that are made in person, right? So you're at a networking event and somebody brings you up to somebody brings somebody over to you. Then there's also the email intro where at some point you like BCC the person, you know, you get that whole ecosystem. Are there different tips for in-person versus email introductions?
Like if you're at a networking event and you want to introduce one person to the other person.
Exactly. Like, you know, does it, you know, think about it. Like there's such a dynamic and a tone that's set in person and then in the email landscape.
Yeah.
Is protocol across the board, or is there digital protocol and then physical person protocol?
Well, no, I think that it's very much the same. You know, if a friend of mine was with me at an event and someone else should know about what I'm doing, I'd want my friend to come over and say, hey, this is my friend Danny. You got to hear about his new book. It's about blank and blank and blank. And the difference with being in person is that I can jump in and take over much more quickly than in an email exchange. I may be able to sort of jump in before he'd finish or have to like piece it together, and I can just sort of finish and fill in the blanks. Mm-hmm. But I love the position of somebody at a networking event who's that connector. I love the connector. It's so pure and selfless, and it's not about you. You're thinking of outside yourself. You're looking around the room and you're saying, how can I connect 2 people? And in doing so, you actually broaden your own network and you look awesome.
You know what, Danny? I am so happy you brought up that point in particular, because I think a lot of people are threatened by connecting, certain people together, or that relationship might blossom more than your individual relationship.
Oh
And
yeah.
that should so not be from the place that you think about making that connection from. I think that your point to connecting people broadens your network, especially if those two definitely have a connection, and then you're officially a triangle.
Yep.
So many things, so many connections I could think of that I've created through over the years, that have broadened the network of this ecosystem of everybody can fulfill other needs and services and requests and inspirations for each other. And being a connector, I think, means that you have effectively become a good networker.
Yes, and I'm going to throw out a word that I know millennials on this chat would love to hear. Being a connector makes you a leader. It makes you a leader. It shows that you are in control, but you're thinking about others, and you're thinking about the success of the group, not just your own success. And that is a defining leadership quality that if any boss happened to see it at a Christmas party would be like, wow, that's a really impressive person I have on my team.
Yes, totally. Oh, spot on. All right, taking a second to do a blast of retweets of really great content that people are sharing.
Somebody just said I look like Liz, who asked the question. I look like Ryan from The Office. Wow.
Yes. Who's Ryan?
I'll take that. I've never heard that one, but actually, no. Maybe someone did tell me that one time.
Somebody tweet an image.
I'll let it go. I'll allow it, Liz.
Liz, tweet us a picture of Ryan at The Office.
You only had those witty one-liners, so I'll go with it.
The Office? I feel like I have no idea who she's talking about, and I want to know. Okay, so we are already on Q7. We are 15 minutes away from the end of the hour, so let's get it going. Q7 being tweeted out right now.
Right. My
Okay.
answer. Also. Right. Trying to remind myself what the heck I answered you. There we go.
I know. So much content, so much good stuff. Okay, here we go. Q7. Sending out in Blab, everyone. Blabbers. What do they call this Blab chat? Is it just called a Blab chat? Does it have a name? Like anybody?
Let's go with Blabfest.
Blab Fest. It is quite a fest going on here. Okay, so Q7. What's the right way to ask for a person's time? I think this is like such a let's how are we labeling our relationship? I actually find, I'm going right out there and I'm putting it out there, Danny. I actually find that when someone's hasn't met you yet, or they like new into networking with you and ask for your coffee time right away, I'm like, well, we should get to know each other first a little bit more. Do you think that that's me being insensitive, or do you slightly agree with it's a little, like, let's dance a little before we take an hour of our day and go for coffee?
I see that. I do know that sitting down with someone for coffee, it's not just like the hour, it's like the time to get there, the time to go back to where you came from. So it's probably like a 2-hour arrangement, and it's a lot of time. I think that if you're going to ask for the coffee chat, and what I recommend is to give somebody a week's worth of dates to think of.
Okay.
I say, are you free over the next week?
Okay.
Because to me, that's a good middle ground. I'm not asking about it tomorrow, but I'm not asking for it in 3 weeks, because we're trying to get stuff done in life. And I don't want, if it's someone who could help me, I don't want to wait a month to talk to them. I want to talk to them soon. So I think asking for the 1 week time frame is appropriate. It's non-threatening. It's not too aggressive, but it's going to help you secure that meeting. And look, the other person can come back and say, you know what, how about a phone call?
Okay.
Which is in their right to do. And I would take them up on that as well. I just want that person's time. So I think the reason why I asked for the coffee chat first is because I know that FaceTime is so critical.
Right.
And if you meet me and shake my hand and we can actually have a conversation in a physical space, that can help to secure a relationship a lot faster. So I'm always going to ask for that sit down when appropriate. And as a second option, I'll let them say, sure, let's talk on the phone.
What did you do leading up to you asking for their coffee time to give you the right to ask for the coffee time? Like, what do they know of you?
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. At what point do you have the right to ask for coffee time?
Well, if I'm coming at someone who I don't know and they don't know me, then my email has to be really, really authentic to make them want to trust me and care at all about meeting with me and giving up their time. So I'm going to be very clear about the context in which I found the person.
Mm-hmm.
If it's I found you through my school's alumni network, or you're a mutual friend of such and such, being very clear at the front of how you came across this person.
Okay.
And then showing why you think that person is so exceptional. Giving a couple examples or a couple lines about why you respect that person so much and why you'd value that person's time.
Okay.
So you're coming at them in this like super genuine, like, I'm just trying to learn.
Right.
The other thing I always say, and I use this all the time in my writing, is ask for people's advice.
Mm-hmm.
Say, I need your advice.
Okay.
Don't ask for a job. Don't ask for a favor. Ask for advice. People are much more likely to help you if they know all they have to do is sit there and talk about how smart they are.
Okay, I like the way that
because it's so non-threatening. It's like, wow, this young person's coming around and all they want to do is be a sponge.
Yeah.
How great is that? And how often are people asked to just sit there and talk about what they know?
Right.
Share their knowledge. It's so rare. We're rarely asked that. And even the busiest person will suddenly find time in their schedule if a young person wants to come around and sit at their knee and say, tell me everything you know.
Right. I think, yeah, totally. I hear you on that. And we do have a question in the queue from Blab. We touched on it earlier, but if Neil didn't hear the answer, I want to make sure that he does, because I do think it's a reoccurring thing that I hear from for people's block in accomplishing effective networking. And Neil's question is, what advice would you give to someone with an anxiety disorder on ways to improve their ability to meet people?
Well, I'm not a medical professional, so this advice is just coming from my experience talking to people. Now, obviously, I'm very comfortable talking to strangers. I was a TV reporter. I did it all the time. I don't mind walking up to somebody.
Right.
So I'm not introverted in that way, or I don't have that anxiousness. But the best thing you can do is you take a deep breath. You walk over, you stick out your hand, and you shake the person's hand, and you say your name, and you ask for theirs, and ask, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
And if you just do that, it's gonna feel weird, and you're gonna be nervous. But by doing that, firm handshake will make you feel more confident. It'll give you the confidence to keep going. Make that eye contact. Force yourself to look at that person in the eyes and not look down at your feet or around the room, and just believe in yourself that you can do that. And I think that once you start asking a couple of questions and you remind yourself that my goal here is to ask questions, it might start to feel a little more comfortable. You kind of broke that ice, and now you're in a conversation and you're asking the questions. So you're not going to be forced to tell your whole life story.
Right.
You're just there to ask questions.
Totally. I think that's a really realistic approach on giving advice to that, question, because I think, especially for people who are introverted, the fear is just so much more overwhelming than people like you, me and you, who could talk probably, to the wall and be entertained. It is really hard for people. And I think that a lot of people have that in public speaking, that fear of being up on stage and, oh my God, all these people looking at me. I think what people don't realize is that when they go up to you and you're blatantly look uncomfortable, you're making the other person feel uncomfortable. So if you could somehow center yourself to be like, if I'm uncomfortable, I'm going to obviously have this uncomfortable conversation, and realize that, let me just look this person in the eye and talk to them like a human, because they are a human.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at it more like a conversation. Like a lot of people who were scared of being on the radio show when we were doing Teen Talk Live and the Chelsea Cross Show. It's like, I'm so scared, I'm so nervous. And I was like, you and I are just having a conversation. People happen to be listening, but you don't even see those people. But you and I are having a conversation and about what you know, right? So when you're networking, you should be talking about things you know. And if you know your content, if you know your story, you're going to feel that much more confident walking up to somebody.
Well, that's right. You said it exactly as I would. It's a conversation and we're making friends.
Yeah.
We're not, don't put more pressure on yourself than there needs to be.
Totally.
It's not like the most important discussion of your entire life, your whole career hinges on it. Don't blow it. It's not about that.
Right.
It's just, we're out there making friends. All I'm ever trying to do is make friends. And I want to help those people as much as they could possibly help me. It's not about being competitive, and it's not about heaping pressure on yourself to nail it in the moment. We're all trying hard and working hard. And if you give your best effort, you will succeed.
Totally. All right, we're moving on to Q8 because we don't have a lot of time left. So send out your answers. Tweet has been sent.
All right.
Okay.
And mine too. Whoop. I think I just hit it twice. Okay.
Well, I will put it in the Blab feed, but I'm going to let you start answering. So Q8, what's the smartest way to find networking groups in your area?
Well, this is very practical. It's a Google trick, or not a trick, but a Google search to search the name of your city and Chamber of Commerce Young Professionals. Because in most cities, the Chamber of Commerce has a young professional division, and that's a great place to start to join up, meet other young professionals, and go to networking events or happy hours. There are maybe other groups like that, but that's the best place to start. And I say, if you can't find a group through that, then you email the Chamber of Commerce. I give the template for that in my book of how you email the chamber and ask them to connect you with the right group in the community. Because if you can find that right group, it can open up all kinds of doors.
Totally. I introduce you to cool people in your area, and it's like such a win-win.
Yeah, totally. I just did my second answer too. Oh, right. I gave the template for how to find the right group. It's just a nuts and bolts situation. You need to find this right group. You need to get plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're new to a community, then you got to do a little bit of research, and then you got to come to the meeting. And you have to be at the event. You have to be a member, not in name only. You have to be there, go to the monthly meetings, go to the happy hours as much as you can. That's where you're going to form the relationships. You can't just put it on your resume. It won't get you anywhere.
Right. Totally. All right. Moving on to Q9. And before we do that, I just have one question that popped into my head that I'm going to throw at you, Danny. And sometimes I think people don't realize that the person's just not interested. Like this isn't going anywhere. And I think as much as we need to know how to lean in, sometimes we need to know how to lean out, right? So that person doesn't go talk to the next person about how weird you were or how uncomfortable you made them feel. I think it needs to go both ways, right? So at what point do you have to realize that that person's not looking to connect with you and then move on so you're not wasting your time at a dead end?
Well, my general approach is, let's say I send somebody an email to connect and they don't answer me. I wait a couple days and I send a follow-up, and I show people how to write a good follow-up, because I know that can be tricky too, is how to write an appropriate quick follow-up. Did you get my email the first time kind of thing?
Yep.
If I didn't get a response at that point, then my general sense is to leave it alone, because the person got it twice. And the first time I can chalk it up to maybe they didn't see it, maybe it went to spam, maybe they meant to answer and didn't. The second time around, I'm like, okay, you got it twice, you still don't really want to talk to me. Now, if it's somebody that I really need to talk to, and I'm not willing to let it die, that's when I get on the phone and I try to catch them on the phone.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Because it just depends. I mean, if it's just a straight up networking and you just don't get a good vibe, but if there's somebody, it's like, no, this is a really key person, I don't want to just walk away.
Okay. That's
when I get on the phone, and that's a whole nother world of conversation, is how to talk on the phone with confidence. But you get on the phone, you poised and ready, and if they answer that phone, you're ready to go, and you say, I'm the one who's been trying to reach out to you. Now, they may be dismissive on the phone, you can kind of sense that too.
Right.
But whenever possible, do your best to not let it die. Try to get something off the ground. Let them give you cues in body language or tone in their voice that they don't want it. But at certain times, it's necessary to really push that much further.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Q9 I just sent out on Twitter and on Blab. So Danny, send out your answers to Q9.
Oh, okay, 1 second. All right. There it is.
All right, so Q9 is, what if the person says, send me your questions and I'll answer you that way?
Yep, that happens. It's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to plenty of people. They say, you know what, just give me some few of your questions and I'll answer you. That's a nice way of saying, leave me alone.
Yeah.
You know what? Screw that. You need to double down. The person needs to know who you are. They think you're just some average Joe. Well, you're not. You're different. And the way they're going to find out is by actually talking to you. That's why I ask for a phone call, or at best case is an in-person meeting, because they think they know everything.
Right.
They think that you're not worth their time. They're trying to just brush you off.
Mm-hmm.
But if you push for it, they can meet you and totally change how they perceive you, and it could open up a door. That's why I always try to avoid that if I can. If they're really that busy and say, I just can't, just write me questions, okay, but at least you try to push it to the next level.
Totally. I also think I'm taking this question in another direction of for all the people who have blogs, who have websites, who have newsletters, who do little spotlights in the social space and like to interview people, right? Get quotes from people. And the way they go about their interview is by sending you 10 questions that you have to type your answers to.
Yeah.
To me, that is just the craziest thing on earth. Like, you are a reporter, you are a writer. Yeah. How do you not want to get on the phone with that person or meet that person in person and have a conversation with them? Because how does that create quality content? That drives me crazy.
Yeah, I get that, and I've done that too. When they'll just give me a list of questions, and it's like, oh, now I got to write all this stuff down. I should just be talking, and someone should be just like taking notes and quoting me. I get that. I think that's. It just depends on the reporter or whoever's asking. But I've never been like, no, just talk to me instead. I always end up just, answering the questions. The only upside to that is that you can actually control, like maybe you wouldn't have said it as well in the moment, but when you have time to sit and type it, you can make yourself sound really great. But it's kind of a time suck, and I do get that. And given the choice, I'd rather just answer someone's questions.
Me too. Absolutely. I also think it keeps the element of authenticity and like organic dialogue within the article, and I think it like reads through, not kind of like this like cookie cutter thing where it's like QA.
Yeah, totally.
It just
there's no flow.
Exactly. All right, so we're moving on to Q10. We have 60 seconds left with 2 questions to go. So we'll do these a little faster so we get everything in before the end of our night tonight. So Q10 sent out on Twitter, sending into Blab right now.
All right, I just shared my answer.
This one's good. This one I'm sure we can answer pretty fast. And it's, how long should we wait for that follow-up person to follow up with the person if the person doesn't respond? So we kind of just touched on it a little, but what is that sweet spot?
Well, I think I've said it before. I think the sweet spot is 2 to 3 days, because if you're coming at somebody cold and you're asking for, a networking meeting or some sort of connection, you just have to step back and give them time. Right. And some people are going to respond right away because that's their style. Some are going to like queue it up and do it in a couple days, or when they're home that night or on the weekend. Everyone's got their own style. So after 2 to 3 days, if you haven't gotten a response, that was more than enough time for someone to answer you. Totally. And that's when it's appropriate to follow back. I reply to that same email and I say, I'm following up to make sure you saw my email from whatever day of the week I sent it. Please let me know. Thanks again. Yep. And I step back and give them a couple more days. And that's when you decide, are you going to email, are you going to like let it go? You're going to get on the phone? Are you going to try alternate means to get their attention, but usually that second time will spur them and they will respond.
Totally. Well, the last question is a great question because everybody needs to have this book in their entrepreneurial bookshelf. Your book, Wait, How Do I Write This Email? Where can we get it?
Thank you for the plug so much. You're the best. The book is on Amazon, easiest place. It's a Kindle version and paperback. I think, people have told me they like either version, but it feels to me like a good paperback book. Like you keep it in your backpack or on your desk. The upside with the Kindle version is the table of contents has all the templates. If you press on it, it'll take you right to that page.
Very cool.
Kind of ease of use.
Very
but
cool.
The book has been out since October and it's had great feedback, and it's really a labor of love, and I'm just proud of it. And anytime someone writes me and says they used an email from it and it helped them, like that's what it's all about for me, is just helping people meet this challenge and become more confident writers, because I know the more confident we are, the more doors are going to open.
Totally. Do you have any plans for writing more templates in the space of how to just communicate within the workplace? Yeah. Because I can't tell you how more than ever, I think just procedure, is it's becoming a part of my day, and realizing how much more I could accomplish if I had more templates, authentic templates, of course, customized per person, but something fine, created.
Yeah.
So I'm ready for your next one already.
Well, I actually am already kind of working on it. And in fact, if you look at my blog, the last 2 months of content will probably make its way. The book is going to be focused on writing guides for the workplace. I work in public relations, so writing how to write press releases, how to write website content like About Us pages and staff bios and media advisories and networking emails within the job. So it's going to be more focused on the workplace. And for a small business owner or entrepreneur, it'll help to write the content that they're writing for their business with more poise and more maturity and more self-awareness, LinkedIn profile pages, and how to write good Kickstarter campaigns, all the stuff that we're writing professionally. The first book is about networking and the job search. And this is going to be more about when you're in that job or you're with a company or with a startup, how are you writing those things? Totally. I am so excited for the next one. It'll be a little while, but it'll be out at some point.
You know what though? I just feel like this is the type of these are the types of tools. This is the type of insight that could help make or break that connection. And also, even just the ease of your everyday marathon to get everything done on your to-do list. The days where everything on my to-do list get crossed off are just the best days, which don't happen every day. Just
I get it.
Time, right? That was the fastest hour ever. Thank you, Danny, so much for.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for listening and joining in. This was really cool.
This was a loaded chat. I absolutely adored having you. You have to be more of a regular, and thank you so much, everyone. Again, fabulous read.
Hey.
Go check it out.
Love it.
Plugging because I really care, and also because I really do admire all the content in this book.
Thank you so much.
This is an email Bible right here. So
with friends like these, how can I lose?
Well, thank you, Danny. Again, pleasure having you. Thanks for tuning in. This will be recorded, so we'll be posting this on YouTube, and we could be sharing all that content. You can listen to it over and over again. Thanks again, Danny. Have a great night, everyone. My stomach is grumbling, and I can't wait for dinner. Tweet you later. Have a good one, everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye.